Hey y'all, welcome back to another week of Coffee and Composition. I'm April, president of A Little More Truth LLC, and this is our little writing companion, Layla. She is eager to go off and write this week's argument that we're talking about. And this week we are talking about the Rogerian argument. So last week you may remember that we talked about the classical argument, and if you are in, let's say, 7th through 10th grade, you probably won't encounter the Rogerian argument too frequently. So keep this video in your back pocket until you start to get up in your education, because by the time you get into those Comp 1 and Comp 2 classes in college and beyond, you'll definitely encounter the Rogerian argument. All right, so as always, let's grab our coffees and get started. So we're up in the ante this week and going into the Rogerian, but as always, if you need a little extra help with your writing projects, feel free to reach out to us at alittlemortruthllc.com and follow us on Instagram at alittlemortruth. So the Rogerian argument, aside from it having a funny name, it does have some merit to it as an argument type, and it focuses on compromise between opposing viewpoints. So when is it best to use this type of argument? When you are trying to work together and present an argument that works for multiple parties. So it is all about the compromise in the Rogerian. Let's go ahead and create an outline for it. Here you want to start by writing down where you stand on the subject or topic, because even though you are focusing on creating compromise, you do still want to be very clear about where you stand. So you need to start there. Then brainstorm 2 subpoints that support your stance and 2 subpoints that support the opposition to your stance. For each subpoint, write out 1 piece of evidence that you'll use to support it. Then think about 1 subpoint that both parties could agree to. That's going to be your compromise crux right there, okay? Write down a possible compromise using the subpoint from number 4, and then think about how your compromise can be beneficial beyond the scope of your essay. Again, that's going to be the foundation for your conclusion. So creating a thesis statement for this one is different than creating a thesis statement for a classical argument. Again, you still want to start with providing a little context for your subject matter. Then you want to state your main idea. Again, it's known as your claim. And in that same sentence, acknowledge the opposing side you'll be working with. In a separate sentence, discuss your supporting points. So the key here is that you want to bring up your opposing point that you're going to be working with to find that compromise. You want to talk about that in this thesis statement. And again, this thesis statement, like any thesis statement, can be more than 1 sentence long. So how do you organize the Rogerian? It can be tricky, but you want to start by stating your stance very clearly along with your strongest piece of evidence. Then you want to provide any further evidence of your stance in preceding paragraphs. Then you want to clearly state the opposing view along with its strongest source of evidence, provide any additional evidence of the opposing view, and clearly state your proposed compromise and the evidence for this compromise. Then the final step is to discuss how your compromise could be achieved, and this is where you can allow yourself to be a little creative. That's your conclusion, so allow yourself to have a little fun. So what's our key takeaway? Again, this is a lot, and each week we're just getting a little bit more and a little bit more into arguments. So what's our key takeaway for this week in the Rogerian? A good Rogerian argument leaves your readers satisfied with the compromise you've presented. So they've seen your stance, they've seen the opposition, but they see that compromise and they're like, yeah, I think that's a good compromise to this problem that needs to be solved. So as always, if you feel like you need more help, if you have questions about the Rogerian or anything like that, check us out at alittlemortruthllc.com, reach out to us, and follow us on Instagram at alittlemortruth, and we'll see you in the next video.